This just in. The NCAA, Colorado's the national champs. They just finished the season. That's it. They've declared it. They're national champs. And then what else am I hearing? For the first time ever, we have a co Heisman Trophy winner. That's right. Sanders, Edwards, and Hunter are Colorado. All Heisman Trophy winners. One and one. And then I can't believe my ear. The Arizona Cardinals have the first pick in the 2024 draft. They're drafting the Colorado Buffaloes, the whole team. This is amazing stuff. Stay tuned. Colorado, I'll give you credit where credit is due. That TCU game was pretty awesome. No one in the world thought you were going to win that. I would have never taken the point spread on that because I never thought you'd be 3 touchdown dogs to a TCU team that lost 20 of its top players pretty much. Their defense was ranked 92nd to 97, depending where you're looking at, last year. And they already returned 3 starters from that defense. TCU was cooking you guys, though, on the ground, 7.1 yards per carry. Sanders, he did awesome as a quarterback. You guys did the mesh routes. I think your OC did an amazing job coming over from Kent State. So the credit is there. You guys played a heck of a game. Now to bring it down a little bit, we're all kind of Deion'd out at this point. Just it's all we see on the news and everything. Maybe he revives the program totally. I don't think it's worth the hype that it is right now. The Nebraska Colorado game, I'm super excited about, happening over there. A big noon kickoff on Fox. It's going to be 10 a.m. in Colorado, 11 o'clock here for all of us in Nebraska. Some things to think about and some things I'm going to be looking for in this game. We're going to start with the first thing. I call it Matt's golden rule. Now, what he has to do is he has to play slow-paced game. He can't play into the hands of a high-octane offense. So if he's trying to keep up blow for blow with Colorado, it's not going to work. We have to play a slow, maintained, just run the ball up the gut type drive. We're talking I formation, double tight end sets, and just pounding the ball. We don't know what Colorado's defense is because TCU's offense, they did pretty well in a lot of areas, but Colorado's defense really was getting torched just as much as TCU's defense was getting torched. So it's going to be tough to tell there. But the golden rule that we got to follow here is a well-maintained, methodical drives. We have to have time of possession right around that 35-minute mark for us and 25 for the Colorado. If it's anywhere close to 50-50 or we're lower on time of possession, it's going to be a tough day for Nebraska. Now, some other things I want to talk about is the rules of engagement. That's a play on the Mount Rule thing. Now, the rules of engagement we have to have for defense here is we have Ty Robinson suspended the first half. That sucks. But here's the thing. He's going to come in fresh the second half. That's going to be a chip on his shoulder, and he's going to be going pretty hard at the quarterback. If we get pressure on Sanders, which we don't know the Colorado offensive line, they haven't been really tested yet because TCU got some pressure on him, but not a lot. He's a playmaker. He can scramble, and he's going to be running around until his receivers get open. Man-on-man coverage is going to be tough for Nebraska. If we can keep a nice secondary with a nice zone coverage going, I think it's going to be a pretty good day for us. Is Colorado going to test us deep? Absolutely. They're probably going to throw the rock, I'd say 4 to 5 times, fairly deep, just to keep us honest. They're going to figure on that one-on-one ball, Hunter's going to get it or Horn. And Hunter, you got to remember, that guy was the #1 player in the country. He told Florida State, no thanks, I'm going to play at Jackson State. This guy is no slouch. Hunter's a heck of a player. Does he play both ways as many downs Saturday? I doubt it. I just don't think he can really keep up with that. Now, the second thing is Nebraska, we're going to have a few people back. Nick Henrich being one of them. He's going to be the middle linebacker spot. Now, the person that filled in for him was Bullocks. Bullocks did a pretty good job. He's got good lateral movement and he's quick. All right. Now, here's the thing we have to remember is that we have to guard Hunter. Okay. I don't think Hunter's going to play as much defense as he is offense this game. And the reason for that is because Hunter, a one-on-one threat on offense, is way better than on defense. On defense, we can stay away from his side of the field. And I know he's 6'1", about 200 pounds. He's a good-sized guy. But him getting pounded, play after play, playing defense at corner, or if he's coming across the middle on offense, even if the linebacker stiff arms him or lets him up, those are things he's going to have to watch for. Rewatching some of that game film from TCU, he got lazy on his routes. Hunter's a hell of an athlete. I don't know that that guy stays in college after this year. He was the #1 recruit out of his class across the whole country. This guy's an amazing athlete. The fact that he stood up FSU and went to Jackson State shows you a lot of things. And Dion even said he gave up a lot of money. He called it a bag of about $1.5 million to come to Jackson State and then go to Colorado. So Hunter, he's going to be playing hard. Does he play 120 snaps? There's just no way he can do it. There's no chance. He's going to get hit on all this run game that we're going to do, hopefully we're going to do, and by doing that, it's going to wear and tear on him. You have to figure out, do you want this guy to be a deep threat, or do you want this guy to lock down a receiver? We don't got a lot of receivers, so he's going to have to see, Dion's going to have to roll the dice and see which side he wants to go to. Now, the Husker versus Minnesota game, I wasn't quite fair on it, okay? We ended up losing that game. It was a heartbreaker, and people call it Nebraska on Nebraska crime because we keep doing it to ourselves type deal. And it just gets super frustrating for us as Husker fans. Now, when you go back and look at Minnesota last year, they were like a top 5 defense and they were #2 in scoring defense. Okay? They didn't lose much on defense. So we really did a pretty good job. What our offense can do, and we are running the ball really well on them, is probably not saying exactly what we could do with it against a good Minnesota defense. Their corners, their safety, they're very good. So Jeff Sims had some interceptions. Those were terrible throws, but we're going to learn from it, hopefully. Now, with Minnesota as well, Kaliak Manis, decent quarterback. Their running back will probably get there, but they didn't have the offensive set. But our defense was in his face quite a bit. So really, Nebraska, when you go back and look at it, that Minnesota game was pretty good. You're playing against an FPS team. I think they had them at like 19 this year. And Minnesota is probably going to be ranked in the top 25 most of the year. They got a really tough slate. I think they'll probably get to that 8 or 9 win mark like they typically do. But, Nebraska, they should have beat them. It just didn't turn out that way. Now, for TCU, I think TCU's down super bad. And I don't know that they will get actually to a 7-win season. I think they'll be right around that 6 to 7 win mark. Now, we'll talk about betting a little bit. Let's talk point spreads, okay? A week ago, Nebraska is a 7.5 point favorite. Right now, they're about a 3.5 point dog. There's about an 11 to 12 point fluctuation they're having on this game. Vegas right now has it about 3.5, with 80% of the money going on Colorado, which is kind of unheard of because the line hasn't shifted that much. And if they're really selling Colorado as hard as they are, you think this line would go way bigger. So maybe Vegas knows something we don't. For the over and under, you're at 59.5. Some have it at 57.5. I just can't imagine that this game gets that high a scoring. In a shootout, there's no way Matt Rule is going to compete because we just don't have the firepower for it. So if we play a low, slow, methodical game, time possession's key, this game I think is going to stay right in that 14 to 24 point range. All right, so for the betting lines, I don't know. That 3.5 points right now that Colorado is favored, that's a pretty tempting one for a lot of people. And obviously at 80% of the bets being placed on Colorado, it seems pretty good. Now, for the ticket sales, right now Vivid Seats has it about a 60-40 ratio of Colorado versus Nebraska fans. I think when the game time comes, you're going to be looking at closer to 50-50. The Sea of Red's going to come hard. Now, for my final game prediction, okay? This game is going to be lost and won in the trenches. If Colorado pops off a couple scores early, this game's going to be really tough for Nebraska to come back. You almost think we want to take the ball instead of kick the ball to start the game. Now, if we wear and tear on this and drag this game out, and Buschini is going to be key. Pinning people inside the 10-yard line for those punts is going to be big. I think if Nebraska sticks to that run game plan, goes deep 3 to 4 times, and we're talking 20 to 30-yard passes, not bombs. If they can run the ball, keep them honest on the deep pass, and do some dink and dunk 5-yard, 10-yard passes, I think Nebraska's coming out this win. I really think it's going to be about a 24 to 14 game. Colorado may score 7 right away. I think Nebraska's going to counterpunch with them. Time possession-wise, I think Nebraska gets close to that 35 to 37 minute mark. So that's what I think. Nebraska 24, Colorado 14. Go Big Red. God, I can't wait to watch this game.